welcome back to the Review of Death, your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I'm Matthew Toffolo, and I'm joined, as always, by Billy Garratt-John. Hello, Billy.
Hello, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. Gosh, you're loud. You're loud for me, but you have to be loud for me so that the people at home can hear you.
You
I'm
want to hear
good.
those dulcet tones ringing across the Pacific, don't you?
You do indeed, And dulcet tones is a fitting phrase considering that
Ah,
it's all about the Interstellar Song Contest this week.
it is. It is the gayest night of the year. Rock and roll.
It is.
Doctor Who going full camp as it always does, and then Gay Christmas on tonight. So
Yeah.
what a fabulous evening. I should just say very quickly, wee bit of not breaking news, but just a wee bit of news that's just
Yeah.
popped up. The BBC social media accounts for Doctor Who have confirmed that Conrad, the Rani, and the other Rani are the unholy trinity.
See, I assumed that might be the case. I assume that,
So
is the Trinity now going to be those two and Conrad? Okay, that's a bit of a shame.
not you, me, and Johnny.
No, we are the true unholy Trinity.
Truly.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of thought that they might add another player into it, but I guess not.
I guess nobody predicted two Ranis, which is the problem there.
No, that is true. Yeah, so I mean, why don't we just get into it?
Oh, we've got some news, Matt. I know that you're
Oh,
raring to go.
have we? We got news. What's the news?
We've got a bit of news, and we've also got some super chats to get to.
We do have some super chats.
So we'll do the super chats first. CJFS, thank you very much for the super chats. Did you notice the shot of the Western Galactic arm was a reused shot of Trenzalore?
I didn't until someone on Twitter posted it, and I was like, oh, I would never have realised that. That is not an era or period of Doctor Who that I frequent.
Just looked like a planet to me, but
Yeah.
fair play. Also, Western Galactic arm. I know that's like a technical astrological term or whatever, but that makes me think of Red Dwarf, not Red Dwarf, Hitchhiker's Guide. I've just
Right.
given it away because I was about to say there was another huge reference to a sci-fi classic
Yeah.
in that episode. So
Yeah.
we'll get to it though. But that popped me almost as much as Susan popping up. And
There was also
CJFS,
there was also a James Bond reference in it as
was
well.
there?
I think so. I think it
Do we
was
want
a sneaky one, but we'll get to it.
We'll hold off on that. And CJFS other super chat, thank you very much. Where was Susan telling the first Doctor to stop when he was going to cave that caveman skull in? Well, that great point. You try stopping William Hartnell when he's in a mood like that.
Yeah.
Is all I'll say.
That's true. That's true. And I guess her life wasn't immediately threatened in this instance.
True.
So
True. Get back, child! I'm going to stave this caveman's fucking head in. Right. Let's talk about the news. So, Doctor Who Unleashed is going to be airing a special episode celebrating 20 years of the revived series, Not Before Time. I'll tell you what, that seems like a quick turnaround jobby to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's happening now. I guess maybe they were like, well, we don't want to put it on before the new series because is that going to muddy the waters? I don't know.
I don't think so because
I mean, who's watching it? Who's watching it?
Well,
Doctor Who fans.
Well.
So come on.
But Confidential used to like take a break from talking about that week's episode to do like a little special, didn't they? They did one about like the history of TV, and they did another one about like. Yeah, I'm sure they've done like little cutaway episodes rather than just doing that week's.
I think that was sort of latterly during like the Moffat era when they were probably like, there's only so many ways we can explain how that tennis ball on a pole is going to end up being a CGI monster.
Yeah, Anthony Head reading the script again, going, another fucking, I wonder how they did that in the script. But this has contributions from Billy Piper, Pearl Mackie, Mandip Gill, Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall, Shuti Gatwa, Varadi Sethu, and Russell T Davis. So one notable omission there.
I was just about to say, where's the Doctor who started it all off?
Well, considering he wants the execs of this show and the main show fired, probably not a great opening. Bit of negotiation there from his agent to get him on the show.
I can see that conversation. Hello. Oh, hello. It's Stefan Powell here from Doctor Who Unleashed. Do you fancy having a chat about Doctor Who? No, fuck off.
Fuck off. Dalek Seth, thank you for the £5 super chat. Spin my nipple nuts and send me to Alaska. Good fun ep. Love the Vengeful 15 Mrs. Flood reveal felt meh. Season 3 apparently confirmed. We'll get round to that.
Yeah.
In more pressing news, Ncuti Gatwa has dropped out of his role as the UK jury spokesperson for tonight's Eurovision.
Dropped out of his role as Doctor Who, I think you were going to say then. I was like, my God, have they confirmed it?
They have confirmed that Sophie Ellis-Bextor is going to be the new Doctor Who. He's going to regenerate into her on screen tonight. Following the broadcast of next week's episode, which is obviously the first part of the finale, I guess you could technically say this is like a 3-part finale, maybe, given that Mrs. Flood pops in quite early.
Yeah,
and also
maybe
those drones, they're back in
they're
the finale
back,
as well.
They? Yeah. I almost wondered if Kid Horny Boy was gonna be in the finale as well, seeing as they made a reference to the fact that he was on like the Doctor's hit list,
and he made quite a point of saying, "I'll be back."
Yeah, and
shaking his fist as he left. So
yeah,
I think keep tabs on the horny references, everybody. So yeah, following the broadcast of next week's episode, Ncuti is going to be interviewed about his time on the show by BBC Radio 1's resident film critic Ali Plum.
Oh yeah, Ali Plum. Yeah,
which is an interesting bit of timing.
Yeah.
It's not at the end of the final episode, which I think would be even more of a giveaway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's being promoted as an exit interview, and I think Ali Plum does a lot of these kinds of things. But interesting anyway.
It is interesting.
It'll be nice to hear from him, regardless, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had two more super chats in the meantime. We've had one from High Voltage saying the memes about those two characters returning can finally stop, which is true. It feels like Russell was just on the internet. Now. It's Paul McGann's the next one. That's the yeah. He'll be in the next series. CJFS has another one saying, "Love the Red Dwarf reference to hard light holograms in the episode." Yes, indeed.
Can't believe it, Juno Dawson, you fucking legend. Well done. We finally canonized Red Dwarf in the Doctor Who universe. Or at least Jupiter Mining Corporation technology.
Yeah.
I mean, which is enough for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Shall we dip in? Oh no, you've got more news. Bloody hell!
I've got a tiny bit more news.
Oh, what's going on? Come on.
Well, we had a big article from TV Zone this week, didn't we, Matt?
We did. Is this the Daily Mirror have said that Doctor Who will be continuing with or without Disney? Fuck them.
We've had negotiations.
He said, "Joke's on you, you bastards. We took your money, built a massive TARDIS set, and that's staying." So off you plop.
We've splashed the cash, and now we can just do claustrophobic ghost stories that Russell seems to hate. Yes. Oh, sorry. A bite of dawn. The JMC didn't invite Hardlight. Legion did.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Point. Yeah, that is true.
Although the hologram technology, I know, I can't work my way out of that one. Well done, Bite of Dawn. Good for you. So the Mirror has reported that the Doctor Who will keep going on BBC One regardless if the partnership with Disney dissolves, which we expected. It also mentioned that RTD is already working on scripts, which we knew about.
Yeah.
The only notable thing I think that's worth mentioning is that it doesn't mention if the BBC are going to look for other partners to help fund future seasons, although you would expect those conversations, if they're happening, to be occurring at a much higher level.
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
That sort of likely wouldn't be picked up on by reporters.
Yeah.
But, it does quell the fears for a little while that it's the end. But, anything can happen between now and the end of the season. I wonder if that does that make Ncuti's exit more or less concrete if this turns out to be the case?
I don't know, possibly more. I guess if they're saying that the series might not come back till 2027, I don't know if he's going to want to wait around for that looming over him. Yeah, I mean, technically he wouldn't have filmed a Doctor Who thing until, for how long? When did they finish filming that? 2023?
March of this year, apparently.
Oh yeah, March of this year. Yeah, he came back to do the right. So I put my hands out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but it better not be another fucking bi-generation. I'm sick of that shit.
Yeah. We'll get into that towards the end because that
Sick
was
of that old crap.
probably that was a low point of this episode for me.
Yeah.
The Happy Masquerader, thank you for the $4.99. Yeehaw! Never thought I would live to see the Rani come back before the Black and White Guardians. Well, that seems like a good entrance into discussing this week's episode, Matt.
That's
So the Interstellar Song
Sue
Contest.
Malden and Film is Fabulous. They're the Black and White Guardians, looking after missing episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah, that was something else that popped up in the week, wasn't it? Is Sue Malden's confirming seemingly what we've suspected, that they're out there, but there's some people that can't keep their grubby little protuberances off those film cans.
Yeah, so watch this space, I guess. I mean, it makes sense that, we've sort of seen that the collection sets have taken a pause on releasing any black and white stuff. So I imagine the BBC know that things are out there as well. And they're probably like, well, let's not release any stuff until episode whatever of, I don't know, The Abominable Snowmen turns up, or The Smugglers, or,
and
whatever
you don't want
else.
to rinse all the 80s and 60s stuff.
80s
and 70s stuff, because then you're just filling gaps. And I can imagine that they've probably looked at like sales figures for classic series DVDs and maybe gone like, I think it just works if we space these out more. So that would make sense that's all been paused for the time being. Is there even one on pre-order at the moment, or
no? But the next one is,
he knows. I don't think I know. Right, the Interstellar Song Contest by Juno Dawson. We open on Harmony Arena, a big space station floating in the middle of God knows where, or next to Trenzalore, apparently. Ryland's been.
He should have said that. He should have said, "I'm buried over there." Did that actually happen? Did that actually happen? I forget. I don't know if that actually happens now because of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, didn't this episode look great visually, like the CGI stuff?
This is a good way to talk about the fact that this is the single most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever made.
Yeah,
and I think Grumpy
more than the TV movie.
That's a good question.
Maybe in this economy.
Maybe in this economy, that Disney money shits on Fox's TV movie budget. So this is apparently the most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever made, and I think we're still grumpy arseholes, but pre-Rod Pod, I think I probably would have gone, oh, they wasted it all on the bloody Camp Eurovision episode. But shit me, it looked fucking phenomenal.
It looked very good.
I think they spent their budget well by having all the crazy CG sort of in the opening salvo of the episode, and then restricting it to like 3 sets that repeated on the interior, because I think we only really had the corridor, those pods, the museum, and all those corridors between Belinda, the Doctor, the museum, all would have just been redressed. And then the gallery, and then at the end the backstage area where Mrs. Squirt finally does her big reveal. Squirted. If you squirt in cryogenic suspension, do you just come out with like a
icicle between your legs?
Hanging out of you. Okay, now. Oh my god.
That's just Joe. Thank you for the super chat. Delta Wave. He shouts.
Delta Wave.
Indeed.
Was that now? Obviously, I am a Doctor Who fan, Matt, but I do have occasional memory loss. Is the Delta Wave reference something that would have indicated that the Rani was coming back, or was the Delta Wave from before?
The Delta Wave is from Parting of the Ways. That's what the Doctor puts together to try and wipe out the Daleks. Yeah. Excellent.
So when he hit that plunger, what was going to happen was the fucking doodada clangers, or whatever they were called, were going to start shrieking in the Daleks' ears.
Yeah.
Is that the idea? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, what could it have been as a little indication of the Rani?
Well, there was the double brainstem before she regenerated.
Yeah, and her little device had Time Lord symbols on it.
I didn't even clock that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first little indication that she might be from Gallifrey.
Interesting. So yeah, this episode looked incredible. I think by far and away, it is the most convincing, like sort of space flight stuff we've ever seen.
Yeah.
What?
Better than John Pertwee hanging onto the outside of the spaceship in Frontier in Space.
Better than John Pertwee. Better than the Quantel paint box cricket ball rebound from Fall to Doomsday,
which kind of got like a little cheeky nod, didn't it? In this episode, with the Doctor using his confetti cannon to propel himself backwards.
Juno Dawson, please come back because you clearly get it.
Yeah, totally. In fact, there were a few little references to 80s Doctor Who because some of the contestants were from the planet Trion, which is of course Turlough's home planet.
Were they all gingers?
They were all gingers. Planet of the gingers.
Miserable gingers.
Yeah.
So Rylan,
yeah,
in cryogenic suspension. He played a blinder.
He was great. He was great.
He was having a laugh.
Yeah, because he's a big Doctor Who fan. If you've not watched the Doctor Who Unleashed, it's like he's having a religious experience walking onto the TARDIS set, much like we did when we walked onto the TARDIS set. Not that new one, sadly, but if you do want to invite us, you know where to find us.
I'll be back in July. So
there we are.
And
Perfect.
Also, I want to go to that Doctor Who warehouse that they posted on Instagram.
I know. Yeah, come on. Someone at the BBC, give us a...
We know that some of you are watching. Don't be shy.
Let us in the back door.
We won't tell anyone if you don't. So the TARDIS arrives.
Let us in the back door and then let us into the exhibition.
Yeah, straight away, or straight into the security room. The TARDIS arrives. The Doctor sets up the Vindicator. Bell spots Rylan. And then we're cutting back and forth to the production truck, or the gallery, where the director and their crew are all in there.
Yeah.
Kid later bursts onto the kind of, it's a bit like a Starship Bridge entrance, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not gonna profile anybody, but the horned lady looking shifty in the production truck was a bit of a giveaway.
It was a bit of a giveaway. This is our James Bond reference, by the way, because her name is Win and his name is Kid. Yeah.
Excellent. So I did think that, but I forgot to write it down.
Yeah.
Win and Kid. Excellent.
Yeah. So Mr. Win to Mr. Kid. You've got Doctor Who duo as well. So I don't know, maybe it was
Dawson for showrunner.
Yeah.
A Red Dwarf reference and a James Bond reference in the same episode.
Yeah.
And it's a Eurovision Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Tick, tick, tick.
There you are. Do you think she watches this podcast? She seems to be appealing to us.
Juno, if you do, write in a line in your target adaptation of this story. What's that bottom line for? Fucking cunty bollocks. See if you can get that in there.
Oh, I thought you wanted like a Rod specific meme, like there were
Hanky Wrangler.
All the aliens were there. The Hanky Wranglers of Bristol.
Yeah.
The all done with a knob out
of Bedminstershire. Right. So then, Mrs. Flood is in attendance. She's keeping an eye on the Doctor and Bell. We see that little device. I didn't even realize it had Time Lord script on it, but that's very interesting. Yeah. The Doctor and Bell are like, obviously, we're staying. It's Space Eurovision. He mentions that he was at Eurovision in '74 when ABBA won. Which Doctor do you think that was? Do you think that was Shooty?
Don't know. I mean, 1974, John Pertwee might have gone.
No, he wouldn't be listening to that rubbish.
Maybe he took Joe just for a laugh.
As a date.
As a date.
If I take you to Eurovision, I'm getting mine afterwards. No, who would it have been? I can picture
Colin Baker.
Picture Eccleston there. I was going to say Colin because his costume would have just fit in straight away.
He'd have moaned about the music.
Yes.
He'd have said it was like unsophisticated, but he'd have fit right in. Yeah, who else? Oh, Tennant. Tennant's game for
Yeah, he
anything.
would have been gurning all the way through it. Anybody,
Yeah.
any new series Doctor would have been up for it.
He'd have been there.
But it's
Oh,
just,
oh, it's Eurovision. Oh, it's ABBA.
it's great. Um, so yes, Harmony Arena is a space station which is protected by this bubble, which of course goes pop. I thought that was a nice line from Kid.
Yeah.
And we also have a couple of other characters. We've got I suppose they typically be red shirts, but they all survive. Gary and Mike,
Yeah.
and Cora and Len.
Yeah.
Gary and Mike are, I think it's fair to say, stereotypical Eurovision fare.
Yes.
I think that's how
yeah.
it's being played, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And they have a couple of really nice moments.
Yeah.
They have a lot of nice interplay with the Doctor, saying how much they love him. And then there's the bit where the drones are encroaching on them in the corridor. The Doctor blows their head off, and they have a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
I think that was being played for laughs.
Yeah.
But I think it might have worked in the episode's favor, if considering what happens later, if it was a ramping up of the Doctor's
I see, like his
going cold.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing, and I think it's been a bit contentious among some people, thinking it's out of character, but we'll get
we'll get there. Yeah.
So Kid and Win are Helions from the planet Helios. Helia, thank you. Helios is in Greece, I think. And their planet, we learn later, was decimated by the corporation who bought it for the poppy to make artificially flavored honey.
Yeah.
Do we think poppy honey is a reference?
Well, what to the land of milk and honey?
No.
Oh right, sorry, that was going around on Twitter.
Oh, was it? No,
yeah.
I was going to say to Captain Poppy.
Oh, I see. No, I don't think so. Oh, I don't know. Who knows these days? No, I was. I've lost my train of thought now. But we've got a super chat from the Pandorica Opens. Can't wait for the Mel Rani rematch. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Another reunion.
I hope there's some cross-dressing cosplaying going on in next week's episode with the Rani dressing up as Belle. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Old habits die hard.
So Rylan runs down the contestants. Win and Kid are such a great reference. Yeah, it's great. They're from this planet, and it got decimated by the corporation, and they are basically taking revenge on the corporation via Eurovision, because the corporation run the Interstellar Song Contest.
Yeah, they're the sponsor.
And there was a lot of I don't know what the right word is, clenched bum holes maybe, about how Doctor Who was going to approach this political commentary, because obviously Eurovision over the years has been targeted for maybe not turning a blind eye to certain nations' actions and including them as part of the festivities.
Yeah.
And that may very well be the reason why a certain Shooty Gatwa is not on the show tonight. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. But I think people were a little bit nervous about how it was going to do it. I never thought they were going to distinctly reference, by the way, we're doing Israel-Palestine here.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think Doctor Who would have gone there. But I think it did a good enough job of sort of communicating the sentiment of protesting Eurovision, while not pointing towards any one particular country. I mean, it could have been any nation. It could have been Russia. It could have been Belarus. Do you know what I mean? But there's also that demonization and the othering, which I suppose is a bit more of like a Middle Eastern sort of, racism comment, because we find out Cora is from that planet, and that's like a reveal in the episode as well. What did you think of all of that?
Um, I'll be honest. I didn't really think too deeply into it.
Mm.
8 o'clock in the morning while I was watching it, eating my breakfast. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's Doctor Who at the end of the day. Trying to make these sort of parallels, they're always going to be a little bit clunky,
Yeah.
and always going to be a little bit ham-fisted. We've seen it before. I mean, we said it about the bloody Zygon story from the Moffat era.
Yeah.
You know, that is all a bit, oh, really.
Mm.
So I think it's difficult, and I think obviously people have issue with how the Doctor then treats Kid, because obviously he is a victim of mass genocide. So it does get a bit murky, and I think obviously the Doctor, you know, he talks about it later that I was triggered because of what happened to Gallifrey, but you don't really get a sense of that throughout the episode. It's only at the end where
It's
he
only
sort of
when he
says
says
it.
the bell.
Yeah, I think maybe there could have been some sort of way of visually sort of showing that something in him snaps. Maybe, I don't know.
I guess he does say "Last of the Time Lords" to Kid.
Yeah, but he said that's his fucking catchphrase, isn't it? When Russell T
true.
Davies is in charge, it's just I'm
Tattooed on
Doctor
his
Who,
chest.
Last of the Time Lords. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I just thought it was weird that we had a story about a planet being mined for its goods when the same things just happened in Andor. But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Everything
literally
is a
exactly
copy.
the same.
Great.
And they both got Belinda
Will
Chandra on it.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Will Newlands, thank you for the 199. How do we reckon the Big Finish Rani story still happened? I don't know. Is that Rani weeps the whirlwind? Is that a Big Finish or is that a BBV, that one?
Isn't that Rani from Sarah Jane Adventures rather than the Rani?
No, Rani reaps the whirlwind. Isn't that a Pip and Jane Baker
Is it?
story?
I don't know. Is it?
I think that's a Pip and Jane Baker audio drama. I'm gonna search that up and I'll come back to you. Yeah, walk us through the shield going pop and that whole sequence and you know visually.
That was
how good
fantastic. That looked amazing, and it you know certainly got a response from us in the morning. Like, oh, wow, you know that's an incredible sort of visual, seeing all these bodies floating into space. And there's a moment where the music doesn't stop, but it just sort of hangs on one note, and it just has that one shot of the silhouettes of all these bodies flying into space. And it's very, you know, it's quite powerful, really. And it was the sort of physicality of it was really well done. You know, like Belinda being thrown up into the air and like smacking her head on the ceiling and smacking her face on the floor. Yeah, you know, they really sort of showed that people were taking a battering. Yeah, I thought it was very impressive. It's one of those things that without the budget, that could have looked kind of naff.
Yeah,
but no, it looked fantastic. They did a
they
really,
spent
really good
that
job
money
with it.
well.
They did, yeah,
And,
yeah.
You know, Doctor Who doesn't often go for the baddie commits an act of terror, but when it does it at Space Eurovision. Which, if that isn't the perfect analogy for Doctor Who and its approach to certain topics, I don't know what is. Charlie Ashby, thank you for the 499. Will we see a return of EastEnders Big Ron in the finale? Yeah, as Nick, I think Nick Frost is playing him.
Nice.
From what I understand. Now, lots, almost to the point of feeling bashed over the head with it, lots of references to Mavity.
Yeah, oh, I know. I did keep thinking to myself, can't we just get rid of that now, please?
It almost felt like somebody went, oh shit, we haven't mentioned it at all this season. And they just crammed a season's worth of references into the one episode.
Yeah, I know some people think it's probably funny, but it tiresome.
It's like, okay, we're showing that time can be changed, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's sort of audacious in a way. I kind of respect it,
Mm.
but at the same time, I am kind of bewildered by the fact that it's been strung out for this long
Yeah,
and no
they're
one's
still
really
going.
touched it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Oliver Smith says, "Have you been to Thekla in Bristol?"
What a fucking diversion. Thank you very much, Oliver. Uh,
I just saw it and I was like, "Gotta read that one out."
do you know what? I don't think I have.
No, I've never been. I mean,
I
I've
don't
been, I've
think
been
you don't
near
go
it.
anywhere. You haven't even gone to Pop World.
No, that's true. I've not been anywhere.
Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Oliver.
I went to Bath today. I'll have you know.
I went to Bath, I'll have you know.
For a nice day out
Um,
and an
I
ice
bet it
cream.
was.
It was
I
lovely.
like I had an ice cream. I don't need to go to Thekla and shake my booty. Um, CJFS, will we see the return of the Rani's pimp from Dimensions in Time?
Oh yeah, Timothy West. I think that's
Timothy West.
I think that's who Mrs. Flood is. I think Mrs. Flood is like now the henchman. I mean, that's all weird, isn't it? That's all a bit bizarre, but we'll get to it.
That's coming. Don't you worry, that's
Yeah,
coming. Um, I liked in terms of Kid as like a sort of a one shot, sort of one dimensional villain, in that,
yeah,
we're giving them the benefit of the doubt by saying their planet's been, genocided. He's one of the last of his kind, and he's taking revenge for the actions of an evil corporation,
yeah,
which is sort of, as an explanation for a baddie's motivation goes, it's pretty broad strokes, but at least it is there. I did like the texture of, the horns, and the fact that everybody looks at us as if we're evil. And his
yeah.
line, "I'm only doing what you expect of me," I thought was really
Yes, that
nice. There are
was
a couple of little bits like that which I thought
yeah.
just rounded him off nicely.
Yeah, totally. Because it did feel like initially when he walked in, and he sort of did his little entrance, I was like, oh dear, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But
Mm.
then as it went on, I think really it was just seeing his actions and how far he would go, sort of helped cement him as like, okay, so he really means business.
He was good, I thought.
He was good. But I was sort of surprised that come the end, we have this like, I'll get you next time, Doctor Who. And you're like, really? I don't really see what we're going to get out of you for another episode. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really feel like
Yeah, and I feel like, even though Win is the one ultimately that's reacting to the song being sung in their language, and he sort of got his head down and not really paying attention to it.
yeah,
So I suppose you could blag it as, he's not reformed. He's just sort of, he's going to be nuts regardless.
yeah,
I do feel like it was wrapped up, in sort of a visual shorthand, that he was even listening to it and was obviously touched by it to a degree,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not
yeah,
saying the same stuff that Win was. I
yeah.
do kind of wonder, you know, what would you give him to do if he came back?
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, I think the only way you could go anywhere with it is if you did like a real sort of switch turn and you had the Doctor entering into some sort of maybe uneasy alliance with him to take down the corporation.
Mm,
But because it does sort of feel a bit weird that the Doctor's not like, man, those fuckers,
yeah,
they've committed genocide for food flavoring of all things. I'm
but
just
I'm
gonna,
going
I'm just,
to
I'm
give
just
you
gonna, I'm just,
electroshock therapy at the end of
yeah,
this episode.
yeah. I mean, I think at that point, I don't think he's quite aware that
Right.
what the corporation has done at that point. But it still seems weird that the Doctor doesn't even like make an offhand comment of like, I'm gonna have
Mm,
to sort them out at some point.
yeah, good point. Um, so Bell runs into one of the Eurovision entrants. The Doctor's done his little stint freezing in outer space, uses the confetti cannon to blast him into an open airlock. He's picked up by Mike and Gary.
Yeah,
And then Belle is with Cora and her like assistant or manager, Len. Um, I, I think that whole sort of sequence to me seemed the weakest part of the story. Those kind of bits skulking around corridors, and just trying to get to Kid, because the eventual arrival into the production truck, even though it was done with some flair with the whole hologram thing,
Yeah.
um, it didn't have, because I think the description was Eurovision in space meets Die Hard.
Yeah.
Um, it didn't really have that fight for survival to get to the inner sanctum
No,
feeling.
we didn't.
It was
We
all a bit too easy because everybody had the skills, the very specific skills
yeah.
required to tackle
Yeah.
each task, which
Yeah.
was almost, I think, almost played for laughs.
Yeah.
And also those moments where, even though Varada Sethi was playing a fucking blinder in those bits where she has another one of her, I'm not going to be able to watch Eurovision with my mum and dad,
Yeah.
which is interesting. It's her first concern, but I Varada Sethi was fantastic in those
Oh
bits
yeah, she's
and
great.
cements her continually as like a top tier New Who companion. But
Definitely.
all of that stuff is sort of superfluous because Carol Ann Twist My Ankle fucking Ford
Yeah. Popped up out of nowhere.
appears completely out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and I'm still sort of reeling from it. Really, I don't, because where does this go? Where is this going?
Well, this is it, isn't it? Like, I mean, it was sort of leaked that Susan was going to be in the finale or going to be in the series at some point. And I guess it's one of those things where you always sort of like, yeah, really? Is that really going to happen? And I guess like with all the references to Susan last year, you kind of think, oh, this feels a bit weird. Like, why are you bringing this shit up suddenly? And obviously this is the reason why. But yeah, I mean, it was a real shock, even having read the leaks, to see her. Because I guess it's one of those things where you're like, well, they could easily recast it. But fantastic to actually see Carol Ann Ford back in the role. Hasn't aged a day, She looks amazing. We watched the Doctor Who Unleashed, where they where they talk to her and they show her, filming her bits, and it was really quite touching. It was, I sort of felt a bit emotional, really, for on her behalf, like seeing her,
Yes.
the original Doctor Who girl, and she's
her
back.
talking about the difference in scale between the TARDISes, and like
Yeah.
she actually had a kind of moment of, she's sort of looking at the rafters and sort of going, I
Yeah.
can't, it's an honor to be here. It was really lovely.
Yeah, and she said, "When do the fire extinguishers start coming on? Because the lights have overheated." Yeah, and I mean, I think obviously, yeah, she's probably going to be in it a bit more, because she was in a very interesting, like, a different costume when they were interviewing her. I mean, I think it would be very strange to just have her pop up in this and then that was it.
I wondered if it, because classic, we're going into this finale with so many plates being spun.
Yeah.
And I don't trust that this is the case, but I sort of hope it's the case. I wondered if this was more of a setup for future seasons.
Yeah, maybe.
But then also with my sort of speculation about what Susan's about, maybe it is going to wrap up at the end of the season. But we'll get to it at the end. Maybe at the end we'll do our like,
what do we think?
Speculation or
what's going to happen next?
What we think is going to happen in the finale. But I thought it was all really beautifully shot, and it made sense that of all the characters to pop up in the Doctor's subconscious and say, do it, grandfather, wake up.
Yeah.
It was going to be her, and also the lines about find me as well.
Yeah, it's taken him long enough.
It's taken him long enough. I know. David's long dead. I've been living on a decimated Dalek Earth for the last fucking 60 years.
Yeah.
It's not good down here, Doctor.
Yeah. I wonder how they're going to work all that out, I hope it's not just glossed over. I hope they sort of make a point of, why is it taking this long? Been busy.
But you kind of want to get back to a Doctor companion granddaughter dynamic quite quickly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is sort of the biggest or the longest running loose thread in Doctor Who history.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to just be dispelled with
No.
Oh, I'm sorry I did that to you. It's okay, grandfather.
Yeah.
You want it to feel weighty.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I
wanted to be pissed off at him for the whole episode until like the very end, and then eventually he's like, "Oh, you're still the same old racist white man."
I was just about to say.
Grandfather would not have liked this one bit.
No. And we were saying that. We were like, how nice really that she's got to come back with, a Doctor that is played by a black actor, which would have completely spat in the face of William Hartnell being a bigoted old git. So, nice. We've had a super chat from the Beam 19 saying, I wonder if the Rani will use Conrad as a new body for the Master, as we don't know who picked up the Toymaker's tooth with him trapped inside. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, considering that they were bickering like, an old married couple in Mark of the Rani, don't know if necessarily the Rani would want him back.
True, because he's a fucking pain in the ass in that story, isn't he?
He's a pain.
Can you please just go away?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
She's happily just doing her science experiments on human beings, and then he just turns up and just cocks it all up. I mean, obviously the Doctor turns up as well.
Maybe we should do Mark of the Rani later in the year.
Maybe we should. Yeah. We haven't done many Collins, have we?
We haven't. Well, you've got to space
there
them
are many.
out,
Yeah,
there's not many to go around.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not gonna promise that we're gonna sit here and do. It would be like a month and a half's worth of episodes just on Trial of a Time Lord.
That is true. Yeah.
Because I think our views would drop off dramatically. Alyssa has asked us to read an earlier comment from them, and I think it's this one. Shooty's Doctor is a man who gets too easily attached, and that's his character flaw. He turns to anger quicker because he loves quicker, and him going ham on the villain is wrong, and that's the point. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, and talk about his sort of moment of vicious violence.
Yeah, retribution
towards the end.
Yeah.
The Happy Masquerader as well. Thank you for your super chat. I'm dreading RTD giving us more Time Lords do things out of order crap in regards to Susan being his granddaughter. Well, I'm sure that'll just be a flippant throwaway line.
Yeah.
Won't it?
I've got a granddaughter before I've had kids or some stupid shit.
All of that. Yeah. So it's a lot of I don't want to say padding because that has negative connotations, but it's a lot of spinning the wheels until the final confrontation with Kid and Will.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fun moments, like we sort of said, the Belinda moment where she's like, "Where am I?" And she's like, "Oh, you're here." And she's like, "Well, where the fuck's that?"
Yes.
"Oh, well, it's there." "Well, where the fuck's that?" And it's true. You're like, "Well, yeah, that means
another sort of sinking realization."
Yeah, like
this
is I'm in deep shit here. And like we said, the stuff with Gary and Mike, was it?
Yeah.
That was all good fun. Like you said, maybe a bit too set up that they had the particular skills that were necessary. But yeah, for something that is about that was semi-inspired by Die Hard, which you can kind of say, I'm surprised we didn't get a shot of any ventilation shafts.
I was just about to say, yeah, no ventilation shafts.
Yeah, I thought the Doctor was going to say
across broken glass.
Yeah, I thought the Doctor was going to be like, I'll climb up into that ventilation shaft and come down into the gallery. Yeah. Saying,
and as I shot
yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
But we see the Eurovision Museum, which was quite fun. So there's, I'm sure, lots of fun references for diehard Eurovision fans. I was just looking for the ABBA costumes, but I believe they are locked up in Sweden at the ABBA story, which is good fun. If you ever go to Stockholm, I would say that's a definite visit. And then we get Graham Norton. Now,
Yeah.
very sadly, no reference to ruining 2 episodes of Doctor Who,
No.
but
He did
his
on Unleashed,
inclusion.
though. He did on
Did
Unleashed.
he?
He mentioned that he spoiled 2 episodes of Doctor Who.
Well
Good
done,
for him.
Graham.
At least he
Thank you.
knows.
You are forgiven.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought his cameo was great,
Yeah.
and I think it's very typical Doctor Who that the Doctor and Belinda figure out what's gone on with Earth from a hologram of Graham Norton on board
Yeah.
the Eurovision starship. Um, Classic. But he was great, and nice to have him
I mean,
in Doctor Who because
who else do you want to tell you bad news other than Graham
hello,
Norton?
old Tear here. Have
Yeah.
Terry Wogan pop
Terry
up
Wogan.
and say, "Well, the Earth is doomed."
Yeah.
Because you go, do you know what? That's terrible news. But of all the people in the world to tell me, I'm glad it's Terry Wogan.
Do you know what? I'm now that you've said it, considering like Terry Wogan was the face of Eurovision for fucking ever, I'm surprised there was not a picture of Sir
Yeah.
Terry in the corridor. That seems like
Well,
a massive miss.
You know what? And I'm not saying this for any other reason other than you never know. But they had to get rid of a fix for the Sontarans off of one of the DVDs, and that is just you're asking for trouble to have a 70s BBC TV presenter,
Yeah, I guess
cameoing. I highly doubt that old Ter is in the same boat as all those other people, but you probably want to play it safe, eh?
I guess so. Yeah. My brain didn't go to that sort of mucky business.
I mean, I know, but who would have thought Hugh Edwards was the wrong one? But,
Yeah.
So we get all those references. We've got Graham Norton as the hologram, which was great.
And the Doctor's referring to himself as Belinda's protector. I'm her protector.
Belinda's protector.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yes.
nice. It sort of reminds me a bit of like Capaldi and Clara, where he's like,
Yes.
what does he say? Oh God, it was on the tip of my tongue. Then what does he say? It was duty of care.
I'm her daddy.
I'm her daddy. No, he said I've got a duty of care, hasn't he? That's the thing that he likes to say about
Yes.
Clara, and I guess it's that same sort of thing here as well. Is that why we think he's getting like the flashes of Susan? Is he sort of thinking like, oh, Susan is the one that sort of got away that I didn't really, I didn't go back.
I think it's more on the nose than that.
You do, don't you? Where Annie sort of said, "Oh, maybe Billy's on the money with that one."
Well, I had an even wilder bit of speculation, but
okay.
Maybe I'll do that at the end.
Save that at the end. Yeah.
So I actually did like the look. I think Mike and Gary share a look when the Doctor says he's her protector.
Yeah.
As in a kind of, all right, Jesus, which I thought was great. They were fantastic all the way through this. I thought they were, especially because you need somebody, because Belinda's not there, although she does witness, obviously, the Doctor's actions. You need somebody there to kind of, in light of the Doctor being so extreme in those moments, and his heart going cold, as he mentioned, you do need somebody for him to sort of play off of, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah.
And sort of go, oh, this is a bit weird.
Yeah. And I like that moment, like when you sort of mentioned earlier, when the Doctor's sort of having that frenzied moment of like trying to put all the stuff together and blows up the two GIMP robots.
They
are. Yeah.
It's just get out of the way.
The GIMP droids, as I've put them down here. Gary's like, when Gary says, "Oh, I can do the thing that you need me to do," and then he like slams the wall and he's like, "Gary, I like you," and he sort of goes, thank God, because he's like, do not want to be on the other end of that spectrum of anger. OP Sonic as well. This episode could seem to do anything.
We're back to repelling psychic attacks and blowing up doohickeys, but fuck it, whatever. We need to get the story going.
Blow the head off.
Get it moving.
Blow the head off a GIMP. Blow up a gun. blow up a delta wave augmenter.
It can do anything.
Yeah.
Blowing the head off a GIMP.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there was another joke in there somewhere, but yeah.
We not only can we all hear that, we can see it as well. So thanks very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the reveal that Cora is a Helion, and um, I guess
Had her horns chopped
had
off.
her horns removed. Um, as soon as I saw that hairpiece, I
Yeah,
did think
yeah, we did
you've
as
got
well.
horns under that.
Yeah. So I was more surprised when they revealed it and she had them chopped off.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
oh,
double swerve there.
yeah,
Um, and we have the whole thing about the hell poppy and the honey and all of that.
yeah,
Um, and the Doctor blows the Gimp's heads off. The Delta Wave is about to activate, but the Doctor turns up in hologram form
yeah.
to distract Kid, and then the actual Doctor, because I thought it was going to be a swerve that this is another hologram in hard
Yes, me
light,
too. Yeah.
but does the Red Dwarf hard light reference, which was fantastic. And then I thought this was quite clever. You can say whatever you want, and we might get into it about the Doctor's actions,
Yeah.
but I think it was very clever to have the Doctor do it at arm's length and have his
Yes. Yeah.
hologram do it rather than
He's
him do
actually,
it
yeah.
himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he uses like a Nintendo Power Glove from the
Yeah,
1980s to do it. I was quite surprised. I
yeah,
was like, oh, okay. I think my
very
problem with
smart.
that scene, like, because I know some people have been like, oh my god, that's very out of character for the Doctor to do stuff like that. I don't think it is.
Is that a character for Shooty's Doctor? Because we haven't seen him do that kind
Yeah,
of thing before.
yeah, but I think for the Doctor, on the whole, the Doctor has done some fucked up shit, over the years. Shout out to Sylvester McCoy just blowing up Scarrow. Sorry to the Thals, who may or may not have been present, sitting down for their beans on toast. What's that light? What light? Oh fuck! um, you know, and obviously like David Tennant's Doctor, he was all for that kind of stuff. He was always throwing Sycorax
Yeah.
leaders off of, spaceships. He barely did anything. He was only going to kill half the population. God, so when this guy
he was only torturing a victim of war crimes.
yeah. So I don't think he's necessarily out of character for the Doctor. Well, because we know that the Doctor can go too far, but I think my issue with it was like it was just very sort of sudden. He was like it went from like 0 to 60. It was like.
Well, it went from a lot of lip service to,
and now I'm gonna
come here.
Now I'm gonna torture you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a bit too quick. I felt like there needed to be something else to really rile him up. I don't know.
You get the justification that he was triggered because he was thinking about the Time War. So I didn't.
But I mean, you only find that out. You only find that out later, don't you?
True. But I don't know. My issue was it was quite prolonged.
Yeah.
I think there were like maybe one or two too many electrocutions.
Yeah.
But it is nice to see that side of Shooty. I thought that scene where he was talking to Kid through the viz screen, and you have that close up on his face. I thought Shooty played that brilliantly. You could see which I think is why I'm sort of okay with the justification of him doing it. You can see how fevered he is in that moment. He is like kind of shot away.
Yeah.
But I think as well, there is something to be said that, of course, it is the Eurovision episode where the Doctor goes full war crime mode. He goes into full waterboarding this poor guy mode.
Because they didn't give enough points to one of the other contestants.
Yeah. Nil point for Belarus. So I don't know. I'm in two minds about it. I think it felt like they earned it, but it also felt weird that this was the episode where the Doctor cracked,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm glad we've sort of seen that side of him, because I think that's one of the sort of criticisms, isn't it? That it's at least for series 1, it feels like series 2 has done a much better job of showing all the facets of the Doctor's character. And I think we were kind of worried that because his Doctor seemed so happy-go-lucky and sort of, very broad strokes in the first series, that we would never kind of see that aspect of his Doctor, or this Doctor wasn't really capable of that. But obviously it's one of the things we've always said on this podcast with the Doctor is that the Doctor is morally muddled. I know some people say no, the Doctor must always be good, and some stories do that, and some stories will say, well, something shitty will happen and the Doctor will be like, no, it's fine, peace out, man. But then other times we get to see the Doctor say, no, you fucker, get this.
Come here, let me shock you to death, to near death. So all of that goes down, and we get a bit of a rush to the finish, because there's a lot of, if I connect the flim flam to the bling blong and turn the widdly doos it onto the how's it what's it, then I can save all these people. So they turn the tractor beam into hard light to drag everybody out. Of course, fuck the millions of normie contestants that have paid 40 billion imperial credits for their ticket. We need Rylan first.
Yes.
If Rylan had a unique set of skills that would have helped them to get everybody back home, then sure. But was there a specific reason why Rylan was first? Was it just, man, the insurance money on this fucking guy is just too much. We need to get him back now.
Yeah, I don't know. When was he cryogenically frozen? Is he like being cryogenically frozen now, today?
I think a week last Thursday. That's why we've not heard much from him.
No, there we go. What would Rylan's special skill be? His sparkling teeth. I'm gonna bounce a light off your teeth, Rylan, and it will blind kids.
And it will blind women and kids.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard this because I googled it, so I must have heard from somebody else. Rylan's rider. I never worked with Rylan,
right,
but I do know Rylan's rider, at least at a point, was packets of ciggies and chicken McNuggets. And that was it. So you can tell all your friends and family. So yeah, they turn the tractor beam into hard light. We have the reveal montage coming out of stasis to Buck's fizz.
Yeah. I just thought of extras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making your mind up. That's where the Disney money went, to get the rights.
To get the licensing. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. So before they put that in, it was the second least expensive episode of Doctor Who ever produced.
I think what happened was they were like, right, as they were like budgeting series 1 and 2, they were like, oh fuck me, episode 1, series 1, we've got Sugar Babes, Push the Button. Episode 6 of series 2, we've got Bucks Fizz, Making Your Mind Up. We can only afford one. One of them's got to go.
That must be it.
And they were like, fuck the Sugar Babes. It doesn't matter that the whole episode is based around Push the Button. We'll keep Bucks Fizz.
How is that going to work in perpetuity? Is it going to be another, do you want to know the secret? Where they're just going to dub it when it eventually comes out on the Ultra Super Collection set in 40 years' time.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I'd hope that Russell's had the foresight to seemingly tie up lots of legal loose ends, and he knows obviously the longevity of this stuff on home media. So I would hope that they've got it in perpetuity, which is probably why it was so fucking expensive.
I imagine they went, "Who gives a fuck about Bugs Fizz?"
Well, it is the Eurovision episode.
That is true. That is true.
And the what's it? The circle, the Venn diagram of Doctor Who and Eurovision fans is quite tight.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
So the contest continues. I was looking at the time and going, I know that there's like 3.5 minutes of credits for the foreign dubs that are on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it going, 10 minutes to go. And we've still got to get, I assume, a Mrs. Flood reveal in.
Yeah.
And
do you know what?
Then
I actually thought, even though, we basically were told that the Rani reveal was going to be this episode, I was getting to the end. I was like, I wonder if all this stuff about, keep off the internet for spoilers, you got to wait for it. I thought, maybe this Mrs. Flood thing isn't going to happen this episode. Maybe it was just for the Susan. Yeah. Obviously, that wasn't the case.
But he did say in the spoiler warning video, there's going to be a flood of spoilers.
Yeah. Flood of spoilers.
Taps the
yeah.
nose. Cora gets on stage and performs her song. This is a song the corporation tried to hide. Get on with it. Fucking hell. That went on for ages. And I was just, what I thought was going to happen, because, I didn't necessarily think that we were going to get a revelation about Susan, but, you've got to reference that before the end of the episode so that we don't go, it was just a fever dream in the Doctor's head. We've got to cement whether or not that's going to get followed up on.
Yeah.
We have to get to the finale and the Vindicator stuff. We also have to reveal Mrs. Flood.
Yeah.
And it sort of felt like the story finished 10 minutes before the end credits, to me anyway.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We had to get the sort of cathartic, let me sing this song in my own people's language. Frasfragul, or whatever the fucking language is. And she goes off and starts singing. That sounded like something from Lord of the Rings.
It did.
And she starts singing, and I was quite shocked by the response from the audience, and that it took Gary from backstage slow clapping for it to get, because up until that point, considering that nobody in the stadium has reacted, you've got to think everyone's there going, oh shit. Or like, what was she saying? I mean, I know this is Eurovision, but usually they put a couple of words in English in there just to so everybody can sing along. But I thought that the slow clap, rousing, the Doctor's got tears in his eyes moment went on a little bit too long.
Yeah.
That whole thing went on too long.
I mean, certainly when I watched it for the second time to take my notes, when that bit started, I looked away. I was just like, I'm not interested until it got back to actual talking. I was like, oh right, okay.
Ryland's co-host, the Catwoman, had a bandage on her eye. She looked like Pudsey Bear.
Very good, nice. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Should have been spotted. Should have been a spotted
it should
bandage
have, with blood.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yes. We haven't really mentioned it. The Eurovision songs. What do you think?
I wanted to see more of them. I liked.
Yeah, this is what Annie said. Annie was disappointed that we didn't get more Eurovision.
I liked Marvin Martian. Did you see him?
Oh yeah, on the poster.
But then he was actually in the background of one of the shots.
Yes, yeah, with his big
he
head.
He looked like Squidward. He had like a big bulbous head.
Yeah.
I was a fan of him. I loved somebody's going to put it in the chat because they put it in there earlier. I loved the little puppet monsters.
I
thought they were great.
Ooba Dooba Doo or whatever the song was.
Yeah, Dooby Dooby Doo. I love them. I wonder if we should have said, here's the Earth delegation, and it's the Beatles, or they're doing, my name's John, and here's a song called "I Have a Dog." All right.
And they're just heads in jars like Futurama.
Yeah, like Futurama. That would have been fantastic. Bing Crosby gets wheeled out as a skeleton or something. That would have been great. Yeah, and when it cut to the audience, I thought we'd see a few more props dragged out of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
I was expecting, a Sycorax with, like his nips out or something, or, a Slovene in assless chaps. But sadly not.
Speaking of...
bunch of hemovores doing poppers on the front row.
Yeah. Speaking of aliens, past aliens from Doctor Who, there were a few other references outside of Tryon. Alpha Centauri got a mention.
Oh.
Yeah. And also the Zygon new habitat.
Interesting.
No, habitat. Yeah.
Habitat.
Yeah.
There was a pig slave in the crowd, apparently.
There was a pig slave in the crowd. Yeah. Why not?
Also,
there was also
one
someone.
monster...
Yeah, from Rings of Akaten.
Really?
Yeah, there was something there.
There was one that I thought in the close-ups was a sea devil, but it just had like a beaky face, so it looked a bit sea devil-esque.
Yeah.
Now people are asking, is Victor Meldrew going to appear?
Is Victor Meldrew going to appear? Oh, here he is. He's coming in. Hang on. Cue the music. Cue the music.
He's in his Jimmy Jams again.
Hey, what did you say, Toff? There we go. Bit of steptoe, son.
He has arrived.
Here we go. Right. Sorry, let me get out of the way. Here you are. Have the
for a little one. Hello,
Johnny.
Do you want a song?
How did the performance go? Firstly, have you done it?
No, I didn't do it. I stayed here to do this with you lot.
Can you give us some Eurovision of the past?
Yeah, no, I don't know. We were singing thingy, weren't we, earlier on?
What?
The one from the thing today.
Making your mind up.
Yeah, from the extras. Extras, you know that bit? It's so good.
I remember that bit.
Yeah, it's great.
Fucking great.
It's very funny.
How
are you?
What did you make of this gay banter?
It was gay banter, wasn't it? Yes, it was. With gay abandon.
Gay abandon.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I have to say, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. I didn't like the bi-generation because I don't like that anyway. That was a bit of a shame, really. And I think it sort of takes away from Anise Dobson, really, now that she's got to share it with this other lady.
True.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice if she had her own moment to shine as the Rani.
Yeah.
But hey, perhaps. But I don't know. The idea of this double act thing, I'm not quite sure about. I didn't quite like that.
I think that's going to be interminable next week.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Susan.
Yes. But that's lovely. And like Matt said, we watched the little bit from
Unleashed.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it was quite moving, actually. We didn't know what's that old shit, but we did watch it a little bit today. And her chatting away. 85, I think. Did I say?
84?
Oh,
84,
it's
85.
amazing. She looks great.
She looks brilliant, doesn't she? Yeah, I thought good for her coming back.
Good for you, Father.
Good for you, Father. Yeah. So that was great. And good old Doctor giving him a good old zap with that thing. I liked a bit of violence. Lovely. I got no problem with that. I said, look, that man came off lightly. Colin Baker chucked the guy in a bloody sea of acid. So
True.
come on.
Colin
Anyone doing anything?
That was nothing.
He was just doing his day job.
You know.
He was just a porter moving the bodies around.
You know, so
Poor bastard.
that man got off lightly, I tell you that.
Yeah.
Lovely Red Dwarf references as well.
Very nice, yeah, we like that. We mentioned that as we watched the episode today, yeah. The hard light thing,
Beautiful.
isn't it, yeah?
And because we're going to be obviously crashing into next week, so I was going to say later that this episode being good is sort of hinging on next week and the week after sort of paying off, because it's basically all based around, we've got Susan popping up constantly and we're all waiting for the reveal of who Mrs. Flood is. What do you think about the finale?
Don't know. Trepidation, shall we say, as these finales tend to be.
Yeah.
We can only look back to last year's to see what a shame that one was. Maybe that guy Conrad won't be a draconian, as I mentioned. Maybe now it's definitely the Rani. It's Urak, the Tetrap.
Urak the Tetrap.
Yeah.
Shit, that's Johnny's wild bit of
That's my wild bit of
speculation there.
speculation.
So that's
Write it
that's
down,
Johnny's
Billy.
bet.
Yeah.
So he's
back.
Urak the Tetrap.
He's
Yeah.
bad.
Matt,
He's bad.
Matt, what is your wild bit of speculation for next week? If you've got a theory or a
Theory.
Wild speculation. I don't really have a wild speculation. I'm getting like Last of the Time Lord vibes from the clip that was released on Doctor Who Unleashed, where Conrad is like telling the story of like, oh, the Doctor and the Time Lady, blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh, it feels a bit like the Master talking bollocks on the news about the Toclafane. So I'm getting flashbacks to that, and we all know that ended with it all just going billy billy bop, and it's all fine and put back in the box. So I guess we'll wait and see.
What's that big dinosaur thing?
I don't know. I
God
don't know.
knows.
Oh, I thought you might have been. Okay, fine.
Okay. Don't know. But yeah, I mean, what's that all about? This is the thing. What is it all? What is it all about?
Yeah.
What is it all about?
What's it all about?
Doctor Who. What's it all about? I mean, yeah. The Rani's a mad scientist. What's she been up to?
Got plans.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know what they are. I've just got plans.
And it's the second part is called the reality war, isn't it? So I guess that there's been some bending of world history or some
maybe,
shit going on, and
Yeah.
yeah.
The reality war. Yeah.
And what's next week's called?
Wish World.
Okay.
We've got a super chat. CJFS says, do we think every major Time Lord will be back?
Oh, I hope not. God. There's too much of that going on.
They got enough to do.
Too many of those Time Lords.
Yeah, they don't need on more. No.
My little wild bit of speculation is Belinda is Susan, or Susan is Belinda.
Right.
My other bit before that was I think the Doctor will regenerate into Belinda, or there'll be some sort of reverse bi regeneration,
Oh, God.
and they will become one.
And then when two become one plays on the
Girls.
jukebox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that
And
cool,
then the last bit of Disney's money gets spent.
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. I'm still hoping for Europe the Tetrap, personally, but there we go.
It's on the list of wishes, and
Yeah.
if Russell's watching, if that hasn't been done, you've still got 5 days to get some reshoots in.
Yeah. You never know.
So
Stranger things have
let's cross our
happened.
fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I'll leave you to it.
All right.
Nice to see you, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Take care
Nice
of
to see
it.
you,
Now,
mate. Always a pleasure.
next week, my kids are here. So you might have to watch the finale with my boys in the morning.
Oh, dear.
I know.
They'll be saying, what's going
How are you
on?
gonna-
They will.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
And it's my little one's birthday, so we've got to be nice to him.
Oh,
Can't be horrible.
Oh no,
So,
you can't yell at him. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
true.
Yeah.
so you're not going to get your copy of Minecraft if you do.
Yeah. Don't behave yourself, yeah. Gag him in the corner.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we'll see. But I should be here next Saturday
Oh,
evening.
there we go.
So, we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. Part
Yeah.
1.
Beautiful. We look forward to
Lovely.
seeing you again, Johnny.
Okay. Take care, my friend. All the best.
Thank you, Mr.
Bye,
Meldrew.
everybody. Goodbye.
See you in a bit.
Ciao.
Well, there we go.
How much more do we want to wrap up before we go to the comments and see what everybody else thought? Have we covered all our bases?
Well, we haven't really talked about the
We
Ranis,
got
have
the
we?
cliffhanger, I suppose.
Yeah,
and the Ranis.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, the cliffhanger is the TARDIS goes back to... Well, they find out that the world was destroyed, don't they, in May
Yeah.
24th, as Jonathan's just said, on my nephew's birthday. End of the world. So they travel back to... The Vindicator's all powered up. Let's go back. Let's see what happens. Lights go red. Cloister bell goes ding dong, and then the doors blow off.
Which I thought was a cool visual, nice little cliffhanger.
Yeah, you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
And they fucking well did.
They did, indeed. Yeah, so that was like, oh, okay. This is like the second time this series we've had like, cut to the credits. Oh, no. Cut away
we've
from
got
the
something
credits.
else.
Yeah. Do you like that? I don't mind it. I think it's all right.
I think in this case, it made the reveal feel very tacked on.
Yes.
Because it wasn't part of the main action. It almost felt like... I mean, it's clearly a reference to Marvel's mid-credit reveals, isn't it? It's clearly trying to build on that sort of a thing.
That old
And
shit.
that old shit. And in principle, I'm not against it, but I just thought for such a big moment, I suppose they must have done it on a closed set, and it must have been a very, it must have been done at the very, very end of that block, because it was in a set that really wasn't used that much.
No.
Which seemed to literally just be trusses, drapes, and then the actual studio floor and the studio walls. It kind of felt like it was a very minimal setup.
It felt very weird. It felt like they really sort of shot this very quickly in the corner. It was just weird.
I wonder if this was only added into the credits midway through because there was no next time trailer.
Oh, maybe.
Which was also very odd.
Yeah, I thought that was really strange. I was quite disappointed, actually. I just thought it was very bizarre. I mean, someone's just put in the comments here, Media Kira just put, the reveal was just too casual for me. Compare it to the other first appearances of classic Who villains in New Who, and this one was very lackluster. Yeah, I mean, like, you compare it to the Master coming back. All right, okay, obviously the Rani...
Doesn't have the weight, though.
Does not have the weight of the Master. If you turn around to people on the street, Doctor Who, the Master... Yeah, most people would probably know what you're talking about if they still watch it. And then you say this to the Rani, they'd be like, what? Yeah, it was really weird, and it was a shame that she didn't get the proper big. It's the Rani. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm the Rani, and then it was all fucked around with all that bi-regeneration bollocks, which I hate.
You have to give it to them. They are sticking to their guns with that.
Oh, it's so
But
wank. And
I
thought
hate
it was.
it, so
I thought it was supposed to be like some like Time Lord myth, and then you're like telling me what
or some
now?
freak one-off event.
Yeah, I think Scotty Lodinson just put in the comments earlier on actually that because I said about I hope Shooty Gat was not going to bi-generate into whoever. Apparently
Billy
it's
Piper.
Billy Piper. It can only happen once, so hopefully
What a coincidence that it's happened once, one after the other with these two Time Lords.
Yeah. It's like, this is Time Lord legend. It's never happened before. But me and the other fucking girl I went to school with,
the other Time Lord in existence.
Yeah, fuck me, the Decker. If you're an expanded universe lover.
Now, if they had kept bi-regeneration to just the Rani, that would have been really cool because that's like she's fucked with her Time Lord DNA or her genetics or something, and it's like that is a really cool idea.
This is what I was saying to Annie today. I was like, I wonder if that's why she's done it, because she's been messing around with the gene splicing or arsing about with herself. But yeah, now that it's happened twice on the trot, it does feel a bit like,
it's
okay.
it's lost the edge or the sparkle of the first one.
Yeah.
And then this one feels like it's done a disservice to both actors, really, because you don't have the handing over of the character. I know Anita Dobson wasn't the Rani; she was Mrs. Flood, but was the Rani. But as far as the audience is concerned, she was just Mrs. Flood.
But she still is the Rani.
She's still the Rani.
Yeah.
But
it was quite funny,
kind of
watching the stuff on Unleashed. I don't even think Anita Dobson realised she was the Rani. She's like, I gave birth to the Rani. You are the Rani, my love, but you also
and there's that weird subordinate sort of role that she's now taking in this.
Yeah,
and I know that you probably have to give them both something different to do in that, given they're playing the same part.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like both of them are going to lose out because our new Rani Archie Panjabi can't step forward and claim the role because her fucking ex,
her predecessor is right there.
Conjoined twin is fucking there.
Yeah,
and also Anita Dobson can't be or won't sort of go fucking balls out with the role because she's playing this sort of second to the Rani, but is also still the Rani. So
she sort of ended up being like some bloody sort of Renfield to the Rani's Dracula or something, or like an Igor to it just feels a bit weird. And I think another thing that obviously when they did it in the 60th, this whole bi-generation thing, it was shot in such a way, the camera was up in the air and it was like, oh my God, this is such a weird thing that's going on. Holy shit. And then this time it just looked like someone had split screened it and they'd gone, oh no. And it felt really fucking daft.
Yeah, it did. I don't like bi-regeneration, but I'm going to give them the credit that they are sticking to their guns with it. So, because that could, because
better or worse.
Don't know if Ivan's watching, but I was speaking to Ivan yesterday before I left work, and he was like, it would have looked like a paradigm Dalek sort of situation if they'd not done it again. That the fan reaction was so negative that they kind of pulled back on it straight away. And I think that they don't want to do that. They want to come across as confident and, straight up with it.
We've got a lovely super chat from Macra who says,
thank you very much.
Thank you, Macra. He says, I avoided the leak, so it was a massive surprise when Susan flashed up. I'm glad I wasn't spoiled for it. I think it was a very solid episode, and they did a great job with Shooty going dark. I hope they expand on that. Yeah, definitely. It was really, really good. I mean, even knowing that Susan was supposedly coming back is one of those pie in the sky sort of things. You're like, nah. So when Carol Ann Ford did turn up, I was still like, ooh. Yeah.
A proper shot. Let's see what everybody else thought of this. Let's have a look at some comments from the Rodders on Instagram and Blue Sky. Reese Dell, somehow the most and least surprising episode ever. The first 90% was good fun, a really interesting story with something to say, and an excellent guest cast. In terms of that cameo, very interesting. Let's just hope it lives up to expectations. The Doctor's darkness was portrayed very well. As for Mrs. Flood, well, we all saw that coming. At least we can stop pretending that particular character is in every series now.
Yeah,
good point.
it's true.
Blake, you and Marlowe, great episode and less cheesy than I was expecting with the Eurovision theme. Good to see Shooty's Time Lord Victoria's side. And the first cameo was a nice surprise and certainly intriguing. However, the 90-second clip at the start, far too rushed, and sad that Mrs. Flood didn't seem to be the lead incarnation, but rather the skivvy. I was never keen on bioregeneration anyway.
Yeah.
Adam Taylorsaurus, a great adventure with a thrilling feel to it, a great underlying message of colonialism. Kind of wish the bioregeneration at the end was just a regeneration, and I'm interested to see how the next few weeks pan out. Tom Tomb Noodle, excuse me. No, that was Doctor Who. Tied with Lucky Day as my favourite of the season. As a huge fan of 80s Who, this was a treat. Shooty was magnetic. He had countless electric, doctory moments. Have to say the post-credit scene was a bit crap, but the new Rani actress seems very good. So I guess we'll have to see. I am immediately fond of her. I do have to say. I think she looks great in the part. And the photo that they posted of the
have you just seen this?
Fucking great costume.
It's a great costume, isn't it? I just
it's very Rani coded while being sort of its own thing.
Yeah, she looks great. For those of you who haven't seen it at home, that's what she looks like. I don't know if people can see it. And apparently I just had a little look through. Well, let's carry on. I'll read it out. I'll read it out in a minute.
Thought it packed a lot into the first 35 minutes. Carol Ann Ford jump scare had the desired effect. The reveal felt like a bit of a wet fart in the end, especially considering how long it's been going on. So says Jamie Bate. Last one here on Instagram from Ben Cogan. I was not impressed by that episode. The initial reveal came totally out of left field, and the post-credit reveal has me wondering why they spent 2 years setting up Anita Dobson only for her to now be the wacky sidekick. The episode is another case of everybody lives with no consequences, of them all blowing out into space. Also, as the most expensive episode ever made, you can see where the budget went, because when they weren't in the massive arena, they stood around talking in corridors. Also, poor Belinda had nothing to do again. I will say, I think given the title of the finale, the last episode of the series being the reality war, I am expecting this to get wrapped up in that story. But I wish we had a little inkling of what is going on with the fourth wall breaks, because there was another one when she regenerated.
Yes, there was. I think I said this as well earlier on to Annie. I was like, I wonder if they're just going to end up being like, oh, it's just one of those things. Because there is a tendency to do that with this program. But I really hope they do address that. And I'm hoping that it is because the walls of reality, the Rani's doing something. Yeah. And, that's why she's able to do those, turn to the camera and talk to the people at home. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's all a link back to Dimensions in Time, because they went to
I hope so.
EastEnders. I think I kind of very subtly made that remark a few weeks back. Where I was like,
that's probably not a million miles away, to be honest. I can see that happening.
Are they going to end? Because we talked about, the ads for, Doctor Who this year being, oh, let's turn up in The Apprentice. Let's turn up in... Gladiators.
Maybe the finale is a sequel to Dimensions in Time, which would canonize it, and I don't think it's officially canonized, is it?
I don't know. I mean, until they release it on a collection set. So.
Wow, I buy that. I that seems like something they would do just to fuck with the show. I don't know. Like, let's just be audacious and just say that happened, and or that is part of the effects that the finale has. That story now exists.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I want them to turn up in Wolford and for the Doctor to say, I was here before. Several times over.
I'm on board. I'll take that.
They are. That's
it's so out there.
That's the one good thing to come out of it.
A few more comments on Blue Sky. Tom Burgess, my favorite episode in years, even as a standalone story. But we have to give credit to those two big moments, by which I mean the Four to Doomsday callback with the confetti cannon and Dugadoo singing from the CBBC idents of the late 90s. It was an interesting episode, says the Typhonian Beast, but one of the weaker ones of the season. Another example of the episode needs more time. The cliffhanger was great to lead into next week, and the reveal of the villain for the finale was good, but could have been in the actual episode and not mid-credits, which is a good point. Midwinter makes, of all the Whippet shit, it wasn't the whippiest nor the shittiest. However, there was still a moderate amount of Whippet shitting. Revealing who your big bad is in a post-credit scene doesn't sit well with me at all. Least favorite of the season. Again, Blue Sky is turning out to be the place where all the miserable gits are. Quaz, my least favorite episode in a great series. I think the Evil Corporation and what it did to Hellier should have gotten more focus, less so the Doctor torturing that one dude, muddling the messaging a bit. And Jack Oliver, crock of shit. So there we go.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it more than last week.
See, I didn't, but I still enjoyed it. So, you know, we are, I mean, realistically, compared to where we thought this was going to be at the start of the season, we are, what is this, episode 5? Episode 6? Is it?
Yeah.
We're 6 out of 6, really, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, isn't it, really? We haven't actually come out of any episode so far this year. I'm probably going to jinx this now. Apologies. But we
have got the finale, and the goodwill of this season rests entirely on those last 2 episodes.
It really does. I mean, because so far we've come out of every episode, and we've either gone, it was all right, or, oh, that was good. We haven't been like, oh, why did they make that? You know, like we were with like Space Babies and the finale.
Yeah. I am worried that we'll be saying that this time next week and the week after.
Yeah. So Huddled Urchin just said strap in for next week. I'll just read what it says about the Rani. So blah 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 blah. Yeah, originally played by Kate O'Mara and all that stuff. Now alongside Anita Dobson, the Emmy Award-winning Archie Punjabi joins Doctor Who as the Rani, who has been hiding in secret as Mrs. Flood and meticulously waiting for her time to face the Doctor. Archie Punjabi and Anita Dobson will appear in the momentous 2-part finale, Wish World and the Reality War, which will see the Doctor and the Rani go head-to-head in a monumental battle that will send shockwaves through the Whoniverse. Blah, 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 blah.
I wonder if that is what Russell was referencing as, like, we shot this thing and it's going to change Doctor Who. We were talking about that the other week.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, here we go. So, a bit more on that. So, on joining Doctor Who, Archie Punjabi said, "It seems there's been quite a bit of speculation about the Rani's return, and who can blame you? Kate O'Mara's portrayal was brilliant, ruthless, and unforgettable. Now under Russell T Davies, she's back, and I'll ask, what in the Whoniverse will bring, and what in the Whoniverse will we bring to her? Let's just say you might not be ready." Interesting. Rusty Davies showrunner says, Ncuti always said he wanted to face the Rani. So after 32 years, she's back. It's an honour to work with Archie. I've been a fan for years, and what a joy to see her twinned with Anita I keep saying Anita Jobson. Anita Dobson. It's the greatest threat the Doctor has ever faced. And there are even more villains to come. Oh.
Interesting. I'm gonna change slightly my really mental wild prediction of the Doctor becoming Belinda becoming the Doctor. Yeah. And I'm gonna say Archie Punjabi is the new Doctor.
Really?
Maybe that there's a face turn for her, and what's the opposite of a bioregeneration if you suck the other person into you? You sucked the Doctor in through your eyes.
Through your arse.
What is a regeneration? I don't know. I think
he's gonna do a master to the Rani. A new body at last.
a new body at last.
Oh, I
'Cause
like.
we've also,
He's gonna go. Oh, I like your leather jacket, babes. I'm having that.
I'm having that. I tell you what, I like the whole thing. I'll
Yeah.
take it now. Um, and also,
Cinched waist, cunty jacket, lovely.
uh, also, if there's more villains than to be revealed,
Yeah.
there's still the long-standing what happened to the master's the master's tooth. Who picked that up?
Yeah. Well, it's the toy maker's tooth with the master in it.
Oh yeah, okay. It's not the master's tooth. It's not Anthony Ainley's gold filler.
Yeah.
It's not Anthony Ainley's grill.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? It's all mad, isn't it? But I mean, Michelle Gomez was at the premiere, wasn't she, this year? And so was Joe Martin. So could that be it? Is Michelle Gomez gonna pop up as well? And then the Rani's gonna be like, "Fuck off! I was the female Time Lord baddie. You can't."
And then Mrs. Flood's gonna go, "Fuck off! I'm the same female Time Lord baddie."
Yeah.
And I just got shafted out of this fucking leading villain role. So I'm not having you take in any more of this bloody rub.
And then David Tennant will turn up and say, "Am I still here?"
If anybody needs me, I'll just be making tea in the other room. I'm now slight. I mean, I was a bit fearful of next week, but with more villains to be revealed, and the press release just came out before that saying that the unholy trinity is Conrad, the Rani, and the Rani. And the issue with Russell finales and finales in general is cramming too many things in there.
Well, I mean, there was a part of the leak. A part of the leak suggested that there might be another baddie.
I don't know that one.
Oh, well.
You'll have to tell me off air. We won't spoil it in case it comes true. But all the leaks so far.
High Voltage has just left a super chat, and who's the boss? Yeah, what's that all about? Oh, and CJFS, also another super chat, thank you, saying no mention of a 2025 Christmas special. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get one this year.
I think that's off the table, isn't it? And I even think that the war between the land and the sea is going to get booted to next year.
Do you think? Just to fill in the gap?
If they are going to... I was thinking about this the other day, and maybe we'll come to talk about it with the finale, because we'll have a bit more of an idea, I suppose, of where, even if not what the plans are, but where Doctor Who is for the future. How would you feel if they did 2 specials a year rather than a full series? If that was the only way to keep Doctor Who going, was you get basically a movie a year on the BBC, or however much they could stretch to in terms of money. How would you feel about that as Doctor Who's thing going forward? Because the problem is not being able to fund a full series, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it would be sad, but I mean, if they still made it, then sure, why not? And it was good, obviously. That's a caveat there. I'm not one of these people who are like, I don't care if it's shit, so long as it's on the television. No, it's still got to be actually decent. Yeah, I mean, sure, if that's the way it has to be, that's the way it has to be. But I think, if they can stretch it so that it's longer than like an hour, so maybe like an hour and a half, like with like the Sherlock specials.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's kind of bonkers that I think next week the runtime is only 44 minutes. Like this was 47. Wow. You sort of think, oh, come on. Surely you're on Disney Plus. You should have like an hour. Come on.
The fear is rising again that it's just going to cack itself.
Yeah. Sam Riddle has shot us another super chat saying,
"Thank you, Sam.
We need to stop this rando picking up fillings." Yes.
I got plenty, Sam. If you want them. Then they'll need to come out when I get back to Bristol and I see my dentist. So if I see a well-manicured woman walking past and picking up my my fillings, I'll know, hello, hello, Mrs. Dobson. Yeah. How's Brian? Is he all right?
Yeah. How's your Star Wars collection
recently?
Badges.
The king of the badges. Right. Well, I think we'll leave you with that then, with slight trepidation and shaky confidence in Russell T Davies's ability to pull a finale out of his arse and entertain us all with it. Because hopefully he's able to do it, because This has been a really strong season. It seems to have generated a lot of positivity from Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
I sometimes think that might have something to do with the fact that they're dangling the possibility of taking everybody's favorite toy away. And so now we're seeing the positives in an otherwise middling series. But
I mean, can
on
you
the whole,
imagine?
it's been really strong, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, can you imagine if we were in this situation last year, like we didn't have a series 2, we still would have been saying, Jesus Christ, why have they done this?
Just mercy kill it.
Yeah.
Take it out around the back of fucking Disneyland and shoot it in the head. But you know, we are in a better place in terms of the quality of the show, but so was Doctor Who, you know, back in 1989, and it got shit canned. So let's just cross our fingers. Nobody is safe.
Yeah.
Let's cross our fingers and hope that the finale pays off, because it would be a shame for such a strong season to go out with a whimper. But there are so many plates to spin, you know, inevitably something's got to give. And we'll be here next week to find out what it was that went wrong.
Exciting stuff. Well, see you all next week for Wish World. Is that what it's called?
Wish World.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, that sounds like a Red Dwarf episode, and I was like, am I getting myself confused? Yeah, we will see you all next time for that. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Thank you for everyone in the chat just chatting. And see you all next time, and have a good one. Enjoy Eurovision if you're not